My jaw dropped. And I said, I need to rewatch that again, because that moment of his sexual addiction was real. And the only way that somebody could have written that is to have seen, heard, or known about that moment, because it was too authentic.
That was really intense.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and even the sober character blew up their sobriety.
Yeah.
Right.
Just like
I know.
in an instant, just like, never mind. Let's go.
I could feel it so much. Like when you can't play that other character that we used to be, or that I used to be so good at playing. And then, yeah, you just reach for that thing that you know is going to help in that moment. But both my husband and I are watching it. We're both in recovery and we're both like, no. But I get it. I get it.
Well, and then it was just on like Donkey Kong. Like it was just on. Welcome to the Sober Curator podcast, where sobriety isn't just a lifestyle choice, it's the ultimate life hack. I'm Alysse Bryson, your fearless guide to a world where hangovers are canceled, fun is mandatory, and we still know how to shut down a dance floor, just with better shoes.
And I'm Tamar Routly, aka T-Bouge, your co-pilot, chaos coordinator, and the one who keeps Alysse from turning this podcast into a full-blown reality show. Buckle up, sober party people.
From lifestyle and travel to pop culture and zero-proof cocktails, we're serving up the stories, trends, and guests that prove sobriety isn't just about what you're missing. It's about finally remembering where you left your keys. Let's get the party started. Welcome to the Sober Curator podcast, where pop culture meets sober lifestyle with a heavy pour of humor and zero actual booze. Today, we are diving into HBO's tropical fever dream that is The White Lotus, a show where everyone's drinking too much, taking lots of lorazepam, making bad choices, and we're watching from our sober perch with popcorn and judgment. I am so excited by the group we have curated today to talk about season 3 of The White Lotus. And so I will introduce each of my co-hosts today because we are here. And for those of you that are listening to this episode versus watching, I just want to let you know you're missing out on some fabulous outfits, including my dirty blender that I will be drinking out of for this episode. So Lane Kennedy, let's start with you. Welcome to the show.
So good to be here. Thanks for having me.
I love your big hat. I can't believe it fits in the whole frame.
I know. It's nice.
Looks great. Looks great. And Megan Swan, are you posing as, what's her
Posey?
name?
I'm posing as Posey.
Poppy Parker. What's her name? Parker?
Oh, Parker Posey.
Parky Posey. I can't get it out. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, that's me.
Well, you got the dark hair and the haircut for it. So yeah, I just thought maybe. And Sarah, welcome to the show. I'm enjoying your hat as well.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here with you, fabulous ladies.
Plus, it kind of looks like you're coming to us from a resort. You know, I can see your headboard over there. So that's very, very on brand. And Alex, hailing from the East Coast in all black. Of course you are. Of course.
Yes. It felt appropriate given the slaughter that happens in the last episode. So namaste.
So much slaughtering.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're all here. The Sober Squad has been gathered, and we are going to talk about White Lotus season 3. I actually don't know how we've not reviewed any of the White Lotus seasons for the show, because definitely in season 1, there were some addiction issues that flared up. I don't recall if there were any in season 2, but definitely there was in season 1. But let's kick off with a moment in the show that made you say, oh, no, they didn't. What was the scene that shifted everything for you? Lane, let's start with you.
I knew right out of the gate. I don't know what the exact moment was. It was in the first episode where I was like, oh my God, this is gonna go big. You have to come back to me.
Okay. See, I didn't have that. In fact, after episode 2, I was like, I can't, I'm out. I'm not watching. This is too slow. I'm not into it. And so I actually skipped a couple weeks, and then you all started talking about it, and I had major sober FOMO, so then I had to jump back on the White Lotus bandwagon.
I know what it was now. When she started taking her pills, right? When Parker Posey's character is just the pills, like she's got her little routine that she has. That I was like, okay, boom, there it is. It's here. We're gonna expose something.
Well, and I love one of her quotes was, "You should have taken my lorazepam. I slept like a corpse."
Right.
I was like, God, that's what I miss about being high and drunk is the passing out like a corpse. I'm not gonna lie. I could miss that once in a while. All right, Sarah, what about you? When did you know you were in it to win it with White Lotus season 3?
I think that the friendship between the 3 ladies kind of drew me in. I started to kind of feel that friend and girl level competition, and really started feeling that the gossip and whatnot. So the one woman, the attorney from New York, I was a little worried about her for a bit. I was worried about all of them at different points, but that friendship, I understood it, I could see it, and I was really grateful that I am not in any friendships like that any longer. But I've definitely traveled in that crew.
Yeah, I was super uncomfortable when they had just checked into their room and the attorney gal's room was like kind of pushed off, to the side, and like she leaves, and then the other 2 are kind of talking about her, and then she comes back and she kind of catches them. Like, that's super uncomfortable. Yeah. Alex, when did you know that you were in it to win it?
I mean, there were multiple points. Probably before it even started, when I heard that Belinda was coming back, I was just like, oh shit. I knew it was about to get real. I was very disappointed that, it's not like she could have come back. She was like, Tanya was kind of sort of hella killed in season 2. But I was just hoping that maybe they'd have a flashback with her or something. But yeah, I really wanted to see how does this continue to develop, because Tanya was such a pivotal character for the first 2 seasons. And I feel like her absence was just so sorely felt. And it felt like the elephant in the room throughout the entire season.
Well, and Alex, I was today years old when I realized there's not only 1, but 2 Tanya Funko dolls available for purchase. I found the first one on the HBO White Lotus merchandise shop, which, don't worry, we'll put all the links in the show notes. And then I found the second one on the Amazon.
Mm-hmm. Amazon.
That is iconic.
Amazon. Yes. And we have now curated an idea list of White Lotus merchandise on the Sober Curator shop, storefront, whatever it is we call it. Megan, where was the wellness retreat attendee in recovery in this season? Because I didn't see one. As the wellness coach, how did you feel about that? How did you feel about how the wellness was portrayed?
Yeah, I think it was, compared to other seasons, it was more trying to put it at the forefront that this was supposedly what they were doing with the, Wi-Fi detox and, learning meditation, and then the whole thread where the daughter's looking into Buddhism. And there were quite a few points of reference that this was much more a wellness vacay versus a reset than just a vacation. And yet, in a lot of these parts of the world that are known for their spiritual wellness resets, they're also party havens. And, we saw a lot of the characters find that element as well. And then, of course, certain characters brought the party with them in their purse.
And, when I was taking a deep dive, you could argue that there was, more than Parker Posey with her lorazepam with addiction showing up. We had Frank's sex addiction. We had the substance use and emotional suppression of Rick Hatchett. We had the financial and emotional turmoil of Timothy Radcliffe, the dad, right? And then the whole thing is like set up on this superficial wellness practice background, but nobody seemed that well in the show.
Well, and they went off campus or what off resort and found all sorts of recreational drugs at those parties as well. I mean, it was just layer upon layer.
Mm-hmm. Did you guys know that Greg's house at the top of the hill or the top of the mountain, whatever it was called? Did you know you can actually rent that house on Airbnb for $2,100 a night, US?
I'm doing
Sounds
that.
like a great Sober Curator retreat.
I'm thinking so. I am thinking so.
I want to go back to Timothy, right?
Okay.
The dad.
Yeah, you got excited about that. I saw that.
Yeah, I can't help myself because, here's a successful human being, quote, right? Like he's bringing his family to this luxury resort. They're all fighting amongst themselves about this digital detox. And then he gets that call about his life falling apart.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Right. And we see like his character plummet, and he portrays that so beautifully. And I don't think if he didn't have the actual experience, I don't like the depth of that emotional bottom that he was feeling was palpable. Like his devastation and what am I going to do? And his storyline, just following his storyline alone, I was like on the edge of my seat every week going, okay, what is he going to do? How is he going to handle it? And so like his addiction to work and that, like the property prestige, the wealth was real, like super intense for me to witness.
Well, so much so that we're going to have some spoiler alerts. So if you don't want the spoilers, like stop listening, come back, whatever, stop watching. But like, as we get towards the end and he, the trip is getting close to being over, he knows that like all this stuff has happened back home. And he's like, he doesn't want to live. He's fantasizing his own death. He's fantasizing taking the family out. Like it gets dark real fast.
So dark.
I wouldn't have been surprised any of the times had he actually gone through with, what was going on in his mind. It just made sense.
Totally.
Sorry.
Yeah, something that I thought was really interesting that I stumbled upon when I was doing some research to prep for the episode is that the actor who plays Timothy Ratcliffe, the actor's name is Jason Isaacs, and he has been sober for 25 years.
Yeah.
So I thought that was like really cool to see. And I'm sure he pulled from that journey and poured that into the character and accounted for why the performance was so raw and so believable. But what I kept wondering for that character, and like, I don't know, maybe I've listened to too many like true crime podcasts, but I was just like, bro, like, just don't go back to America. Like,
right. It doesn't seem like that hard.
Extricated.
Yeah, he was sitting among other people who had probably done the same. I thought,
Yeah.
he was going that route when they were drinking on the yacht. I thought he was making that plan.
Yep. Fun fact: did you guys know that Amy Lou Wood became a coconut water-aholic while filming this show? She was drinking it at her words, dangerously large levels.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Is it dangerous to drink too much coconut water?
Well, you can drink too much water.
Nature's-
There is a thing as drinking
Gatorade.
too much water. You can.
Well,
I've
wasn't
never
there that
done it,
one-
but you can.
There, like years ago, when the Nintendo Wii came out, there was like this competition on a radio show to like chug water. And the woman who won the Wii, she wound up dying because she drank too much water too fast.
Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm. Did you know that Rick was actually bitten by a snake during the filming of the Cobra show scene and had to receive medical attention, including a tetanus shot?
I had to fast forward through that. I have a very sincere fear of snakes. I just couldn't.
Are we going to talk about the boat scene with the sex? We're going to talk about that.
Oh my God. I feel like I clocked it like in episode 1 that like these two brothers are gonna fuck. Like I had that feeling because like what brother is just like totally fine with like watching porn in the same room as his other brother? And then like he just casually sleeps naked and his younger brother is like, oh, that's just my older brother. Ho ho ho. Like I have never seen one of my brother's asses just casually. I think they would be mortified.
I think it depends on the family. Like at what point walking around the house, like maybe not butt naked, but I don't know. And I would imagine that there's a lot of, well, I can tell you a lot of close male friends and brothers, you know, it's not unheard of. You go to strip clubs together, watching porn. Like that wasn't the line for me. But yeah, I thought even just sort of like the boat ride in and you're like, okay, these 3 perfectly positioned young people in this family, like something's going to go off that, you know, changes their perspective of themselves for forever.
Well, I kept wondering if the 3 girls were going to hook up at one point. It like I felt like it could have gone there in like episode 1 because I kept wondering like why is like the one who is left out so intensely jealous of those two? Like, does she feel like she's lacking in an intimacy between them? Does she feel like she's caught them in some sort of like secret? But no, it did not happen, and I personally I was a bit disappointed.
I did see an article where the people were thinking that she might be the alcoholic of the 3 because she was drinking very heavily, at least at the beginning, very, very heavily. I didn't ever clock her as an alcoholic. Like, I guess she wasn't drinking enough for what I deem alcoholically. But what I did think was interesting is when they all went to the pool at a different resort. It wasn't the one they were staying at. And they were looking around and they were becoming really aware of the aging process, especially through the lens of females and like how uncomfortable it was making them to be around all these other people that were, you know, laying out in the sun with their leathered skin. That was
older. Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, I can't remember what the character's name is. The blonde woman who's, you know, decidedly by the 3, like not the hot one. And her monologue talking about how, you know, ultimately they have a lot of distance between them. They are still friends. And even the superficial, like they're being meaning in just the fact that they still manage to like get together. Because I think we can all relate to those friendships where you like see each other every 10 years, or even if it's just once a year and you do something and then you realize like, I don't really align with these people anymore. But that doesn't mean that you can't find meaning in the fact that the friendship is meaningful and that it's just, you're still in each other's lives.
Do you happen to know of the 3 seasons of White Lotus, which one has been the most watched? Because I know.
I feel like it's probably this one. Everyone I know is talking about it, but I could be wrong.
It is. The premiere episode of season 3 garnered 2.4 million viewers, a 57% increase from the season 2 premiere, and 155 rise compared to season's 1 debut. Mm-hmm. And episodes 6 and 7 drew 4.2 million and 4.8 million viewers, respectively. So, yeah, season 3, although I would argue it isn't the best of the 3, has the most viewers, which is interesting.
I think this was the best.
You do?
I do. I do, because of how layered it was and because of all the different personalities and all of the destruction that was occurring. It's so nuanced that you had to be paying attention to everything. And you would miss things. Like you asking me that question, where did it start for you? Oh my God. It's the opening scene when we hear the gunshots and we're like, where is this going? Right? Like what is going to happen in this show? There's already chaos and destruction. And then just flowing into each episode going, who's going to blow up? Because these were explosive relationships that nobody really wanted to say they were, but between like the younger daughter and her younger brother, or even the older brother and the daughter, there was some kind of like angst in there. And then you look at Parker Posey's character, like full blown, completely detached from reality, right? In her own regard. And then our through line character, the massage therapist, I can't think, right? Her kind of like wild explosiveness around like her attraction to the gentleman who's like trying to support her and help her. And that like every moment there was something explosive that was going to occur. And so watching it for me, like was just wow. And then when we get to Sam Rockwell sitting on the chair talking about his addiction, my jaw dropped. And I said, I need to rewatch that again, because that moment of his sexual addiction was real. And the only way that somebody could have written that is to have seen, heard, or known about that moment, because it was too authentic.
That was really intense.
Well, and even the sober character blew up their sobriety.
Yeah.
Right.
Just like
I know.
in an instant, just like, never mind. Let's go.
I could feel it so much. Like when you can't play that other character that we used to be, or that I used to be so good at playing. And then, you just reach for that thing that you know is going to help in that moment. But both my husband and I are watching it. We're both in recovery and we're both like, no, but I get it. I get it.
Well, and then it was just on like Donkey Kong. Like it was just on.
Yeah.
I did, going back to the massage therapist lady, I did find it ironic that, she was so upset when Tanya basically, stiffed her in season 1 with all these promises that didn't come true. And then the minute that she becomes a millionaire, she's like later to the guy who she'd made love to. They were going to go into business together. And she's like, I'm out. Fickle. Can we talk about how hot her son was, though? Because he could have eaten some crackers in my bed. I'll tell you that right now.
I just loved his young tenacity. Like, I got this, Mom. I got this.
Yeah.
Okay, bro.
Yeah. You know what I didn't think was realistic is that he jumped into the pond water in episode 1 when the shooting was happening out of the meditation. I had to go back and watch episode 1 after watching the whole thing because I was like, what did I miss? And I was like, nobody's going to jump in that water. You don't know what's in there.
The deeper symbolism, all 3 seasons, the dead bodies in water. Is that the White Lotus?
There's something to that. I did see an article this morning about they were comparing the dead bodies from this season to a painting that looked like it was very similar. But I only skimmed it. I didn't go deep on my research because I was too excited about the Tanya Funko.
Fair.
The other scene that I really appreciated was when she goes, she being the attorney, hooks up with the guy and in his little tiny apartment or his little tiny room. And then the girlfriend comes and then she's climbing out the window.
Oh yeah. I forgot all about that.
Almost been that girl in some shape or form.
Oh,
I've been there, done that.
We've all been
thinking,
that girl.
Oh my God.
We've all been both girls. Let's be honest.
Look, again, that's a real moment. That's a real moment that I've experienced. And the way that she like was just running around and had her little shoes and her little silk pants and like crawling out the window. I was like, oh my God, is she going to make it? Like, go girl. That's all I kept thinking.
I was glad she had an out from being in that super awkward situation where he didn't have interest in her. He's using her and felt for her.
And that the girlfriend would have just railed on her. I mean, she was fierce, that girlfriend.
Yeah, but the 10K PayPal, Zello?
Right?
Right.
Who here has been to Thailand?
Not yet.
Yeah.
Lane, you're the only one.
Several times lived.
Wow.
Yeah, it
Mhm.
looked hot and sauna-y there.
So good. So good.
That was my concern, is like none of those houses that they were in looked like they had air conditioning. I was like, no.
Oh, yes, you do.
Oh, I'm sure at a
Did they?
5-star resort, all the rooms would have AC.
Aircon.
Okay.
Oh yeah, we were looking up that resort, and I think the cheapest one per night was like 3,000, maybe, just a basic
Oh.
room.
Mm,
Seems
basic.
about right.
So I had some input on the drowning symbolism. My favorite band, the Decemberists, and just follow me on this journey here. The lead singer, he always sings about drowning. And that was always something that really stuck with me. And he started singing about it after his younger sister almost drowned in the river by their house. And so he speaks pretty in depth about the symbolism behind drowning, about how it can evoke and relate back to a feeling overwhelmed, a feeling of losing control, needing comfort from repressed emotions and traumas. And so I often have wondered if the recurring symbolism of the bodies drowning in the water is supposed to be a callback to all of the turmoil that's swirling around in these people during their lives. And if it's almost like, if it's showing the emotional turmoil that they're going through while they're away and trying to like totally detox, but kind of like being reminded of all of like the shit that's going on at their home, juxtaposed with seeing them still in the water, showing that it's like tragically like the only time that they are at peace, because they're not in that constant internal struggle or the conflict between the people that they brought to go on like this fun, glamorous vacation with. But, you know, in reality, you've just trapped yourself in a not like a small room that would be for like my poor ass, but, you know, like they're the rich version of a small room with people that you're going to butt heads with.
That was deep, Alex.
Well, and
That's deep.
why does the one, I feel like the character that had the least, how did you frame it? Mental turmoil?
Emotional turmoil. Like she seemed pretty clear-headed, although she, you know, questionable the relationship with the older man and all that. But I feel like she was the least troubled in a lot of ways and innocent. And she's the one that, you know, in the crossfire. So I think a lot of just, and the common denominator of across, I think everyone can relate to overwhelm and the sense of drowning. And then you go and try and escape it in this tropical environment, and it's just all around you still.
I loved the character Chelsea that was played by Amy Lou Wood. I've seen her in a few other shows, and I really like her as a character. And she had some really good lines. There were two that I really liked. The first one is, "This is so on brand for you to be a victim of your own decisions." I was like, zing. And then when they were at dinner and she ordered a glass of wine and the server only put like a teeny tiny bit in because they wanted it to be a tasting. And she was like, "Oh, I don't mean to complain, but that's not very much." And then he's totally annoyed with her. He's just like, "They want you to sample it." She's like, "Oh, okay." I just thought she was so sweet and so innocent, and just, you know, she's one of those girls that just loves love and just wants to be happy and joyous and free. And I love her teeth. I'm here to be like pro teeth. I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Right? I want
I
her to
enjoyed
be
the
my
character.
friend. I'd hang out with her.
Totally.
Yeah.
Another good line by Parker Posey when she was talking about actresses was, "Actresses are all basically prostitutes if they're lucky." Am I right?
Her one-liners were amazing.
I mean, Parker Posey is back, y'all. Like, she's
God.
back in the very best way.
Yeah,
The
the
very
writing
best
for her
way.
character was so good.
Another line that I liked, this one was by Chloe. "You'll notice a lot of bald guys in Thailand. The locals call them LBHs, losers back home."
Yeah.
And then
That's
they
true. That's
pan it.
true.
It's like
That's so
all
true.
these bald men around the
Yeah.
resort. It was that. I thought that was
Right.
pretty funny.
It's
I
so
loved
gross.
Parker Posey trying to convince that one younger woman, "Oh, come back to North Carolina with us. I'll introduce you to a nice man."
That was so wrong.
Everyone knows someone like Parker Posey in that.
Totally. I also loved, when Piper comes back from the monastery and we don't know yet what her decision is. Her brother was like, the little brother was like, I want to go with you. And she's like, I'm not going to be responsible for you. You go do your own thing with your older brother, clearly. When she like sitting there and all of a sudden she just breaks and she's just like, the food at the temple wasn't organic.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, you a precious little thing.
Was anyone surprised by that?
I thought she was going to love it. I did. I thought she was going
Same.
to love it. So I was
I
Well, I
almost
feel like
thought
that
she
might
was-
be a reason that the brother like came on that journey with her, that there was going to be that flip.
I was surprised that the brother made it. I thought he could have gone too, and it would have been fine. I guess it would have made the story, regardless of the fact that when they're all leaving on the boat and like nobody's talking about the deaths that just happened. Like I thought that was kind of weird, but I mean, whatever. It's HBO.
So waspy. They got to get back on their phones and
Yeah.
get back to their privileged lives.
Okay,
Are we
that's
talking about the fact that our lives just blew up?
Well, and the porn brother's like reading a book all of a sudden, which like, where do you
the
get the book?
Porn brothers.
We got them from
There's
Keith.
also an article about the books that everybody was holding for props and what
Cool.
the meaning was behind the different books that the different characters had. I will
Cool.
try and find it and put it in the show notes. But Sarah, you bring up a good point. I would like to know in this group, what is the longest you've gone on a digital detox? Full digital detox. That's no phone, no computer, no laptop.
So it was, I think, almost like 8 months that I went without. It was like right around the time that I met my partner too. I didn't have a cell phone. I didn't really want one. I didn't really want to like use laptop. Like basically you could reach me with like carrier pigeon, but I did not want to fuck with that. And now I'm like constantly glued to like my phone and my laptop. And I think back to that one time that I did that like 10 years ago. And I'm like, oh, that was nice.
I mean, I once went 18 years without a phone, the first 18 years of my life. Right. So it can be done. I think that the longest I've gone, it was the year of our Lord, 2014. And my sister was getting married. And when I had flown out to help her go look for her wedding dress, apparently I had been on my phone too much. And she gave me a real tongue lashing for it. So to prove to her that I could be the responsible maid of honor, digital free, I removed all my social media accounts off my phone and all my email off my phone. I still had my phone so I could order Ubers and take pictures and text with my family members because we were there for a whole week, but I removed all other communication. So that's not even a total pure digital detox, but I made it a week. And then when I came back online, I felt really bad for all my followers because I just like blew up with posting. I mean, not that I still do that, but like, Megan, what about you? What's the longest you've been?
I mean, in modern history, not that long. I guess what I do is I try every Sunday to basically be offline and unavailable. I often even just immediate family gets annoyed because I don't even turn my phone on Sundays. So it's consistent, but not long.
Sarah, what about you?
I honestly don't think I've even tried. All I could think of was right
You're like,
before I
no.
got sober, accidentally, my phone was in my back pocket and it fell in the toilet. So I didn't have a phone for like 24 hours.
Rough.
So I had to go get a new one. I don't think there's anything else. I mean, maybe one day if I was, at a retreat where we didn't have great service. So sorry.
Lane, you're going to come in with some like 42 days or something.
No, I think it's when I go on holiday with my families, I check out. Tamar knows that. I just am like, I go dark. I don't need it.
I was so impressed with my brother. He just went to Jamaica with his family and didn't take his phone or his laptop. He did not take
take it. But how do you check in at the airport? How do you do anything?
I mean, he was with his wife. Presumably, she was the organized one anyway.
Fascinating.
Love you, brother.
All right. As we wind down, I have a few questions. My first one is we're going to go into sober shots, which means you got to answer these questions kind of fast, right? Beer, shots. Okay. Next season, season 4, where do you want it to be? Lane.
Why am I first?
You have the biggest hat.
Japan.
Did you know that this one was actually originally going to be filmed in Japan? And then they got a bigger tax break by filming it in Thailand.
Yeah.
Fun facts coming at you. Alex?
I mean, I would mirror Japan, but for some reason, I thought they already revealed that it would be back in the States, in like Miami or something. But I could be wrong.
I did see an April Fool's joke that it was going to be in New York at the Empire State Building. That was an April Fool's joke. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm a bit gullible.
You actually really are. It's true. It's true. Megan, what about you?
Bali?
Oh, okay. Bali. Sarah?
I'm going to go with something weird and just say Finland.
Oh, I like that.
Ooh. I'm going to go even weirder, and I'm going to say Montana. Yellowstone meet White Lotus. Let's go.
That is awesome. I think that's a great idea.
I know. Okay. If you were there at the White Lotus season 3, what would have been your beverage of choice? Lane.
Just a mint mojito, virgin, delicious.
Okay. Alex?
Probably either like a virgin mojito or a non-alcoholic Aperol spritz.
Okay. Megan?
I would have been having like all the wellness smoothies that were available at this amazing resort.
Fresh fruit for days. For days. Sarah?
I'm always going to say Diet Coke.
Yes. Keeping it real.
I'm here for it. All right. Well,
what's in your blender?
What's in my blender? This is a protein shake.
Yum.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
With no poisonous leftover fruit. None at all.
Can we just talk about that for a moment? Because that was so real in that episode. I was like, holy crap-o. Like, this is happening. He is killing his family.
Isn't this like a Shakespeare storyline?
It did give Shakespeare vibes for sure.
It was so cool that he had that moment with his son. Like, how do you feel about money? Or do you think you could do it? And he was like, I don't need money, right? Like that moment in his head, he realized my son could make it. Like that was the deciding moment for him to kill everybody else. Like it was so good. And then he throws it out like him.
Just like, whack.
You can't drink that. The coconut milk is bad. Like that moment of realization. Oh, so good.
I was dying. Why did he not put the blender in there? And why on earth would you use a dirty blender to make a protein shake?
So disgusting. But I think the point was he doesn't know how to take care of himself. Like he'd been coddled his whole life. And so I think that was to really drive home the point that he doesn't know how to take care of himself. Mm-hmm. I also thought it was funny though. They were like, no, he was like, the dad was like, no, you can't drink because you're too young. And I was like, well, he wasn't too young to get fucked up and beat off his brother the night before, but whatever.
Yeah. I think also this piece that they could have drove into a little bit more, that he's taking all of these, he's drinking a lot, he's taking drugs. Like you're not making rational decisions. And this is the problem. So
I actually thought Parker Posey's character did a pretty good job after he stole her pills and she didn't know where they were. Like if I were her, I would have been freaking out. I would have been like trying to buy drugs off people that worked at the resort. I would have been going to big extremes. And she was just kind of like, meh. She just kind of moved on, which was surprising given how much she loved them. Plus it felt like that pill bottle was like Alice in Wonderland. Like they just kept coming. They just kept coming. I was like, I want one of those.
But I think that shows that she's not an addict.
That's true.
That's true.
Because she really could have probably got some pretty easily.
Also,
Right,
in
like,
Thailand,
not
you can solve that problem pretty quickly, I would think.
So good.
Well, Tamar likes it when I close an episode by showing off one of my many tchotchkes. So the tchotchke of the week I have decided to show you is,
What's that?
this beautiful handbag.
Oh, that's cool.
It is beaded. It is, it looks like a camera. I forget who the designer is. See if I can see. Mon Francis, maybe? I don't know. I didn't buy it because of the designer's name. I bought it because I love taking pictures. I love collecting decorative cameras. It really annoys my son. He's like, why do you have so many fake cameras and globes all over the house? Like you've never even left the country. I'm like, well, maybe that's why. But this is my tchotchke of the week, is my beautiful handbag. I love it so much. Although I don't think I've used it yet. But if I were to go,
a lie, though. You've gone to Canada.
That's still on this continent.
It doesn't count.
It doesn't count.
You're going to Mexico.
Doesn't count. Doesn't count. I have been to Mexico. I've driven over the border from Arizona into Rocky Point, Mexico. That was a bad trip. I was not sober. I don't want to talk about it anymore. But yes, I have not used this bag yet. But if I were to go on a White Lotus vacation, I feel like this would be to go with me.
For sure.
Yeah. Whether you're Team Tanya or just here for resort drama, thanks for hanging with us today. Pop culture is better through sober eyes and a sober lens, and we're here to prove it. That is all the time we have. And as we like to say at the Sober Curator, getting sober matters. Staying sober, it matters more. Thanks for tuning in. This is Alysse Bryson and my Sober Squad. And until next time, keep it real, keep it fun, and keep it sober. Thanks for tuning in, because let's be real, we're way more fun than your ex's drunk texts.
If you laughed, learned, or just need more of our voices in your life, honestly, I mean, who wouldn't? Hit that subscribe button, leave us a review, and send this episode to your sober or your I swear I'm only drinking on the weekends besties.
And if you have a story, feedback, or hey, maybe you just want to slide into our DMs like it's 2012, well, you know we're here for it. Find more curated magic at thesobercurator.com. And remember, getting sober matters, staying sober matters more. Until next time, keep it real, keep it fun, and keep it sober.